Okay, hello everyone. So, welcome back to this third session of AG 104. And today is third session, and we are going to cover some part of topic of this track. And there will be another 5 sessions. So, total 8 sessions are there. So, if you are not registered for the next few sessions, I would request you to please go ahead and register there. And having said that, let me invite Neeraj to start the session, and then probably he will introduce the speakers for today, and then we will start the concepts. Yeah, Neeraj, can you please go
All
ahead?
right. Thank you, Ashish. Thank you for opening the session. So I will go ahead and share my screen. See if you can see it. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever part of the world you are from and you have joined. So I want to first of all take a moment to really thank you that on Sunday you have taken out time to join our session. As Ashish mentioned, this is our third session on AZ 104. So we have concluded AZ 900 sessions. So three sessions, we completed on AZ 900, and then we are continuing with our AZ 104 session. We have total 8 sessions. So in case if you have missed previous 2 sessions, please do head out to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/AzureTalk, and you'll find all the recording out there. In case, you can also go to our website, which is azureeasy.com. We have published all the details about all our sessions that we have done till now. Plus, this is a session, which is organized by Azure Talk Community Group. So Azure Talk Community Group is an IAM-based messenger community group. We have more than almost close to 8,000 members there. So, people are, you can ask any sort of questions in related to Azure, and our members try to help each other. And we also have, some senior folks and Azure Talk members who answer the questions on there. So, I highly encourage you to join our Telegram group, which is t.me/Azure Talk, that you can go, and you will find all those details on our website, which is azureeasy.com. So, I will surely request everyone to join that group. And even in today's session, if you post some questions and we are unable to answer those questions, don't shy away to join our group and post those questions there. So, some of our team members would be able to answer those questions. So with that, as I said, this is our third session on AZ 104, which is Microsoft Azure Administrator Associate Certification track. And we have been doing this in past. So let me introduce you to our Azure Talk core team. So this session, this is an initiative, is a part of the Azure Talk team. Uh, because of Corona, a lot of people, because of COVID, a lot of people have lost their job. So, in fact, so we decided that we should come together and see how we can help the community give back. Community helps us a lot, so it was time for us to give back to the community. That's when we decided we will start the certification track training, which is free of cost. It's a non-profit and we don't charge any money at all. All of these are volunteers. They volunteer their time, their resources. And in fact, it couldn't have been possible without our Azure Talk core team. So let me introduce you to my Azure Talk core team. So I'm Neeraj Kumar. I'm an MCT, an enterprise architect. I'm based out of US. I have 20 years of industry experience. Have been working in cloud for last 8 years or so, and in public cloud for last 6 years. We have Ramurthy. He's MCT and he's an architect. He's based out of Bangalore. He's going to be one of our co-speaker today. He will help us and assist us with the lab and demo sessions. So I really want to thank you, Ram, for taking up this opportunity and volunteering for doing this session. Then we have Ashish Raj. You heard him. He's MCT. He's DevOps architect. He's also based out of Bangalore. He's a tremendous learner, and he's always willing to help people and contribute to community. So thank you, Ashish, for all the work that you're doing with Azure Talk. And Ashish also has his own group where he helps. It's a community group for Azure DevOps. So in case you want to join his group, you can do so. And again, you will find all those details on our website, azureezy.com. So you can head out there and you'll find all the details about our different Telegram groups. Then we have Vipin Jha. He's an MCT, Microsoft Certified Trainer, and he's based out of Delhi. He had close to 16 years of industry experience, and he's veteran in training and also in cloud. And He's been working on cloud for almost last 4 to 5 years, and he's been training a lot of people in the industry. Then we have Girish Kalmati. He's an MCP and he's also consultant. He's based out of Germany. He's he helps us in the last session. Also, he helped us with so he delivered a session on Kubernetes. So he has tremendous amount of knowledge on DevOps side and as on the Kubernetes. Then we have Raul Mathuria, who is an MCT. And cloud engineer, and he has extremely good knowledge on Azure and Azure automation and Azure networking, especially. And he has been very active in our Azure Talk Telegram group. This is the whole team, and as I said, it's all a collective initiative, and it's because of all these team members coming together we are able to deliver these sessions free of cost, and we are able to deliver these quality sessions. So that was our core team, and then let me introduce you to our today's speaker. So you heard me. I'm Neeraj Kumar. I'm also Azure Talk founder. So when you go and join those, I started that community, and today it has grown. When we started, it was very small, but today it has grown around 8,000 members. Um, then we have Vipin Jha. So, Vipin Jha is going to lead the session today. So he will open the session and he will walk us through all the contents that we are going to cover today. And he will lead us into the AZ104 session 3. And then finally, we have Ram Murthy. So as I said, Ram Murthy is one of our Azure Talk core team members. So Vipin and Ram, both have worked together to really come up with this beautiful session and the session content. So without any further ado, I will hand it over to Vipin to start the session. So Vipin.
Thank you, Neeraj, for this warm welcome. Let me share my screen.
All right, we can
welcome everyone. Okay, thank you. So welcome everyone in this AZ104 session. In the continuation of this series, this is our third session of AZ104. And if we speak about the course content of 104, we have already covered this Azure identity and governance that has a weightage of around 15 to 20% in our first session. Then we covered the first part of compute resource, deploy and manage compute resource that has exam weightage for around 25 to 30% in last week. And today we are going to have the part 2 of the same thing. Going further in future, we will be having the sessions for storage. That will be our upcoming session. And post that, we have 30 to 35% of weightage in exam that is for virtual networking. And finally, the last thing that we have in AZ104 is backup. as backup of your Azure resources. So this is your how the exam have a weightage on different topics. So we are at the second point right now, and for this, the part one is already done. We are going to cover some of the topics which were not possible in a 1 day of session. So we are going to deliver this in this second session. In total, this is the third session for AZ 104. Now, if I speak about the today's agenda, today what we are going to discuss, the main agenda for today is virtual machines. And within virtual machines, we have a lot of topic to discuss. The first thing that we'll be discussing about the virtual machine planning, that before you buy virtual machine on the Azure, there are some planning. So how do we plan? What factors will be affecting that? So that will be our first topic. First, that after planning, we'll see that what all are the different ways of creating the virtual machines. So that will be our second topic. Then third section will be virtual machines availability. So how you can plan for high availability in cloud. So that will be our third section. And the final section for today will be the virtual machine extensions. So now we'll start with the first thing, that is virtual machine planning. But before we start, let me tell you that as this is not a fundamental course, this is an advanced course in Azure. So there are some prerequisites that we understand that people should have the understanding of some of the topics. Okay, like people should, all those audience who are attending this session, they expect that they know some of the concepts related to operating system. They should have an understanding of virtualizations. Any virtualization, whether it is Hyper-V, VMware, or any, they should know that what is virtual machine, what is virtual hard disk, what is a virtual network. Okay, so because all those things we will be talking during the discussions. Then what is network related configurations, because your machines will be in a part of some network, what is DNS. So we expect that people should have the what is TCP, what is protocol, what is port. We expect that people should have understanding of those things. Then participant of this training should also have understanding of Active Directory. And finally, they should have understanding of any disaster recovery concepts, backup and disaster recovery concepts. Now, post this, let's begin with the first section for today, that is virtual machine planning. Now, before we do anything, we have to plan for some checklist. Okay, my organization want to have virtual machine in my organization as a cloud resource on any cloud provider. So there has to be some checklist. We don't do in a one shot. We first prepare some document. We should have some checklist. So now what checklist we required here? So we would be having a checklist related to network. Then we require a checklist related to the name of the virtual machine. Then the location of virtual machine. Then what size or configuration of VM we required. Then what would be the pricing model, that how much price I can pay for my machine, what is my business requirement according to that, and what storage I required for my VM. So these are the some top checklist that we prepare, and we'll discuss all these things one by one. So before you directly go and create a virtual machine, you should have one checklist created, and your checklist should have at least these points. Okay, you may or may not have some additional thing based on your business requirement, based on your company's requirement, but these are some of the common checklists that every organization generally follow. Now, starting with the first thing, okay, what is your network? Now, in network, what thing I need to consider? I need to consider if I need a virtual machine. In every organization we plan, okay, I need one server. I have to keep the server in this particular network in this particular subnet. Okay. Then we think, okay, this server, like this is a database server, and this server will communicate with my web server. Or this is my this application server, and this has the requirement to communicate with some other server or some other client machine. Okay. So we decide network and subnet. Then we decide, okay, this server will communicate with some other application or client machine, or with which other resources. Then do I need to open any port to come either of the direction? So we plan for that particular thing. So these are some of the things that we plan for a network related configuration for my VM. Then post that, we plan for the name. When we plan for the name, every organization has their own naming conventions. Okay, so you can follow the naming convention of an organization, but some of the key points that generally all the organizations follow, that the name of their servers, the name of their machines follow some of the standard. Some organizations follow like if the server belongs to the production environment, I will have some prod word as a prefix or suffix. Okay, then if it is a test environment, then I can have a test as a prefix or suffix in the name. Okay, then if I'm keeping the server in any specific location, I can use a location word or some code. I can have some short code for any specific location, and then I can use this in my name of my machine. Then for a same type of service, let's suppose I have 5 web server, so I can have some numerical count as well. Like this is web server 01, web server 02, web server 04, 05. Okay. If I'm having any specific product or service in that particular server, I can have the name of that thing as well. And if this particular machine I'm using for any specific role, if it is my, for example, if it is going to be my domain controller, or it is going to be my database server, or any other application server, so I can have those name as well. Okay, like DC01, and I can mix and match all these elements as well. Like I can mix like DC01, DC02. Or I can have a mix of location, role, count, environment, everything. Okay, so you can have like dev DC01, prod DC01. Okay, or you can add the locations as well. So before you create a virtual machines, you will plan for network, then you will plan for name. Okay, so now once your name is also decided that this would be the name of my machine, then going further, what you will decide, I need this machine in this particular location. Now, when you decide that this machine I'm going to deploy, I'm going to have in the cloud, Microsoft has their data center in different places. We call it as a region. So you will plan that I need this machine in this.
Hey, Vipin, it looks like your screen is not visible for some of the participants. Can you please reshare your screen again?
Okay, for some.
It looks like, yes, people are commenting. Yeah.
Okay, I will reshare it. It might be that they need to rejoin because I can see my student view, it is visible. Anyway, I will reshare it.
Yeah.
Ashish, you can confirm if it is visible to you.
Yeah, it's visible now.
Okay. And if anyone has this challenge, they can just rejoin the meeting. So it should help those people. Okay. So now, once we have decided the network, once we have decided the name of our machine, then the next thing that we need to decide is the location. When we are going to deploy our machine on cloud, on Microsoft Azure cloud, there are a few things that we need to consider. Microsoft has their data center across the globe, and we call it as the region. The different region has a different capacity, different hardware configurations available. Okay, so before you deploy, we need to check, okay, that I need this kind of machines or I need this type of services, whether these things are available in that region or not. So we need to check that region. Okay, and it is possible that I'm looking for some services, I'm looking for some availability or some specific service related to my machine. This may or may not be available in all the regions. So before you deploy, first check that, okay, I need this configuration, I need this service of my machine, and this is available in that region or not. So location is also another key point here. Then the location is also important because of the price differences. The same machine, the same configuration can have different pricing in the different region. So if there is no compliance issue, in that case, there is no compliant issue, there is no latency issues. In that particular case, it is suggested that you can choose the location that will give you a least cost. Okay. Now, all these things will depend on business to business, customers to customers, to check and compare as per their company's requirement. Once we decided the location, next is the VM size. In Azure, the configuration of VM, we call it as a VM size. So what Microsoft do, Microsoft has categorized all the configuration in some of the family. Okay, like these families are known as for what purpose you are going to use this machine. For general purpose, I simply want one domain controller to be installed there, or I want to have some DNS server to be installed in this machine or my machine. Okay, so Microsoft has categorized the machines in these broad category. We call it as a family. Okay, so this is like general purpose. In general purpose, they have B series of machine, D series of machines, A series of machines. Okay, and then they have compute optimized. So if your requirement is general purpose like a simple domain control, you don't need any high compute, you don't need high memory. In that particular case, you can choose that particular size. And all these sizes that you see, like DSV3, DV3, these also has the different configuration. Like some would have 4 GB of RAM, 8 CPUs. The other size would have 16 GB of RAM. Okay, so once you see on the Azure portal, they will show you that okay, that this particular size has these specific configuration. Okay, now if you need high CPU for any specific requirement, okay, your application need more of CPU, then you can choose for the family that has a more compute. We call it as a compute optimized. If a requirement is more on memory, your machine would be needing more memory, better go and select the memory optimized machine. That is the E series machines on these classes. Okay. Then if your requirement is more on storage optimized, you need more of IO. Okay, in that case, go and choose this storage optimized machine. If you have to do any graphic activities, graphic application you would be deploying in the machine, then go and select the GPU series, GPU family, NC, NCV2 and all these series. And there are some which are having the topmost configuration, which is a high performance compute. In that case, you can go and select the HP series or H series. Okay, Microsoft is currently capable of providing you the machines up to 12 terabyte of RAM. Okay, so it depends on customer to customer whether anyone need or not. So if there is any organization needing that, so Microsoft can provide that configurations as well. Once we have decided the size, then we'll go on choosing the pricing model. In this pricing model, so how the pricing is calculated for a virtual machine. So there are two things. One is a storage cost and one is a compute cost. So there would be two things that will be more important for your virtual machines. So compute cost means your memory and CPU cost. Okay, till the time your machine is using this memory and CPU, okay, it's allocated to your machine, you will be charged for that. So when you see the pricings are shown in per hour, but actually charged on per minute basis. So for example, if there is a charge for $10 for machine for per hour, and you are using the machine for 5 minutes, you will be actually billed for 5 minutes only. And then you have a storage cost. So virtual machine has storage, the disk attached to that. That's why the storage cost is also added in the virtual machine. Then post that, there are two different options for paying. One is a pay as you go. Pay as you go means you would be using your machine, and at the end of your month, you will be paying as per the monthly uses. The other option that you can go and select is a reserve instances. Reserve instances is what? Reserve instance means I know that my machine will be running 24/7, okay, throughout the year. So in that case, it's suggested that go and reserve your machine. So Microsoft says if you reserve this machine for you, we will give you a good discount. So generally Microsoft give around up to 72%. Okay, it vary on some cases. So 72, 75 or 80. So generally it's around 72% of discount that you would be getting just by confirming to Microsoft that keep this machine reserved for me. I'm reserving this. So Microsoft also has a commitment that you are going to use this service for 1 year. And in that case, Microsoft give you a good discount on that. Post that, once the pricing model is decided, then we decide the storage. Okay, that what type of storage I would be needing. So in that term, Microsoft provides you two types of storage. One is standard and premium. So how this standard and premium is different. Standard means your normal magnetic hard drive. Okay, and premium means your machine will have SSD, solid state drive hard disk. So premium will have better performance, will have more cost as well. So you have to decide that which one is suitable for your virtual machines. Then Microsoft gave you two more options, that is your managed disk and unmanaged disk. Okay, so Microsoft actually suggests to use a managed disk, but a few years before, initially when there was no managed disk option available initially in Azure, that time we were having unmanaged disk. So this is actually how your disks are managed. Okay, you want to manage your disk for your virtual machines, or you want that Microsoft should manage this disk. So what is the meaning of manage here? So meaning of manage means like how many disks you require, how many disks you can have in a subscription. Okay, all those things will be automatically managed by the Microsoft. And like disk is a type of storage. To have storage related service, you first need to have a storage account created in Azure. Okay, so you don't need to worry about storage account and anything. Once you choose for a managed disk, everything will be taken care by the Microsoft. So it is always recommended to go for a managed disk. But yes, if you want to have your custom size and all those things, in that case only unmanaged disk is preferred. Otherwise, better to go and select the managed disk. So once we have decided the storage, then we will also decide that which operating system I'm going to install in my machine. So there are a variety of operating systems available for Windows, Linux, different flavors are available. There are many customized OS are also available, like operating system with some other applications or some other service are already pre-built, pre-installed. So you can go and select those things as well. You can create your own image as well. And Microsoft supports only 64-bit of operating system. So you can't have 32-bit of operating system here. Once we have selected all those things, then what we think, okay, my machine, I have finalized all those things. Post that, we also decide that how we are going to connect our machine. In that particular case, okay, once my machine will be created, how I'm going to access my machine. If this is my Windows machine, generally people connect using how I'm going to manage my machine. Generally people connect the machine using the remote desktop protocol. So if it is a Windows machine, you can enable the remote desktop for your machine, and to access your machine as a remote desktop, you need to allow your remote desktop port. How you are going to allow that? You have to allow this thing on network security group. So network security group is what? It's NIC level security and subnet level security, where we define inbound and outbound communications. If it is my Linux machine, in that particular case, we generally connect using SSH. So for that, you can connect your machine on SSH, and you have to allow the SSH port, that is port 22. For Linux machine, you have two options, like you can connect using password, or you can connect using the private key as well. Microsoft gives you two options to generate this private key. Either you can use any tool like Puttigen or any key generator, you can use that. Or Microsoft has recently added one option that you can generate your key on Azure portal itself. So you don't need any tool. You can use their portal to generate the key as well. Then the Microsoft gives you one more option to connect your machine, and that is a Bastion service. Now, what is this Bastion service? In the previous two options that we have seen, that is a Windows RDP connection or SSH connection, what happened? I need to open those ports. So it is possible that if I'm accessing that machine over the internet, I'm opening my port over the internet. Okay. I have to keep one machine in my cloud, just like my management server. I would connect to that machine and then I further connect to my rest of the production server. So in any situation, I have to open some of the ports for my machine. Bastion is a new service which is launched few months before by Microsoft, and that helps you connecting your machine. Okay, and how it helps you? In this particular case, you don't have to open any RDP port, 3389 port or SSH port for your machine. So you open your portal, you log into your portal, Azure portal, and then within your Azure account, you create one Bastion subnet. So in your virtual network, you create a dedicated subnet. This Bastion service required a dedicated subnet. Okay, you create one dedicated subnet, and from this portal, you connect to this, and in the backend, this will help you to connect a machine. So how we are going to connect our machine? We actually connect to Azure portal, which is a public URL of Microsoft. And then from the portal, that helps you to connect your machine. Okay. So in this case, you don't actually require any public IP address for your machines. You don't actually require any NSG management, any network security group management for this particular connection. You don't have to open any port. Okay, and this will help you to open any unnecessary ports also to open for your machine. So it's a good thing, good service. People can try. Then post this Bastion service. How we actually create the machines, that would be our second section for today. So to create our virtual machine, Microsoft gives you several options. One is Azure portal, second is PowerShell, third is CLI, and fourth is a ARM template, Azure Resource Manager template. Now, let's discuss one by one. In Azure portal, if you try creating a virtual machine, you have option, you can select from the Azure Blade, like create a resource, or you have option for all services, or from this search box, search for virtual machine, click on plus sign, or create a machine, add machine. Then it will give you some of the option to provide, like basic configuration, what would be the name of your machine, what would be the username and password for your machine, okay, all which operating system you require, so some basic information, then disk information. You provide all the inputs that required to create the machine, in which network, which subnet you want to keep your machine. Okay, we will see all those things during the lab demo. So Ram will help you in understanding all those things. Okay, so you provide all the inputs that we require to create and configure the machine, and then finally submit. So once you submit that, Microsoft will validate the configuration, and then your machine will be deployed in a few minutes based on size and configuration that you have provided. Then the second option that you have that you can use to create a virtual machine is a PowerShell. In PowerShell, the first thing that your machine, from where you are managing a Azure account, your machine should have the Azure PowerShell module installed. Then from PowerShell, there is one, you need to log into Azure account. Once you are logged in, then you will be using this command new-azvm, provide all the parameters. I have shown only few parameters, but yes, it will require some more parameter based on the configuration, based on like which resource group, which location. I will provide all the parameters. So I've just shown you the initial command. Okay, then once you use this command, your machine will be deployed using PowerShell. Then Microsoft provided the third option, that is the Azure CLI. Okay, so the people generally work on Linux. They prefer the CLI because commands are almost similar like a bash shell. So you can perform the activity from either of the options, like from PowerShell or CLI. It's just preference of the people. Like people who like Bash or Linux, they generally prefer CLI. The people who like Microsoft products, they generally work on PowerShell. Okay, so here you have to use this command EZ space VM space create. Okay, so this is the command like how you create a virtual machine, and then these are some of the additional parameter required for your machine, like in which resource group I will keep this machine, what would be the name of my machine, which image I need, 2016 data center, Linux machine, or which one, what would be the username, what would be the password. So once you provide all these informations, then your machine will be created based on this particular thing. Going further, the third option that you have is ARM template. So ARM template means Azure Resource Manager template. So these are actually in JSON format. These options are available in Azure portal. You can search for custom deployment or template deployment in marketplace, and then you can either select this add resource, or you can write your code in your system and then upload your template file here. Define the parameter that which resource you want to deploy, what would be the configuration, and then click on save and finally deploy. So once you submit it here, your resource will be deployed. Using this ARM template, you can deploy multiple resources in one shot. So that will be the added advantage. Post that, let's have a quick short questionnaire for today. So the first question is, if your workload is running on Azure VM and for 24/7, which paying option will help you saving cost? Reserve virtual machine instances, pay as you go, all paying option has same cost, or none? To answer this question, you can open your browser and open this particular link, that is https colon question mark question, sorry, https colon / q.azureeasy.com/1, or alternatively you can scan this QR code from your phone and this will open this question. You have a 60-second to answer this question. Please open, and post 60 seconds I will show you the correct answer and I will see the responses from the people. Whatever we have discussed, based on that, just answer this question.
Yeah, we are also posting the link in the Q&A session, so you will find that detail there. So the URL is q.azureeasy.com/1. So you can hit that URL, or you can also scan the code, the barcode. And we have also posted the link for the question in our Q&A session. So please click on that link and try to answer your question.
20 seconds to go. Okay, so we have the result, Vipin. Maybe you can share that result.
So let me show you the result. Good, so I can see the most of the people have answered correctly. Yes, if you select the reserve virtual machine instances, you will save your cost. Pay as you go is a general pricing, and that is the costliest one compared to the other options. All paying option have same cost? No, the different model of purchase have a different pricing as well. Good. Let's come back further. This is the correct answer. I've already shown you. Now, in the next section, what we are going to discuss about the virtual machines availability. In virtual machines availability, I will think about how we can make our machines highly available. So there are different parameters for that, different solutions available. We'll discuss what is paired region, how Microsoft do maintenance and all. And then we'll discuss about availability set. So how this availability set help you making your machines highly available. Then what is scale set and what is availability zone. So these are the main things that we are going to discuss. Let's begin the first thing now. So we need to understand that how Microsoft is doing maintenance for their data center. Okay, they have their data centers in different regions. Their regions are paired to each other, like East US is paired with some other region. So region 1 would be paired with the region 2 within the same geography. Okay, and whenever they are doing some kind of maintenance, some kind of updates, so what happened, those updates are done one by one. It doesn't happen at the same time, okay, in the same geography. It is possible that in different geography, the updates is happening, maintenance is happening at the same time. But within a geography, generally, they try to do it in a one region at a time, which are paired to each other. Okay. Now, for all kind of maintenance, it's actually at the top level, it is categorized in two parts. One, whether this maintenance activity required a reboot or it doesn't require a reboot. Okay, so if it required reboot, what would be the situation? If it doesn't require reboot, what would be the situation? Okay, now if it doesn't require reboot, so what happened in that case? Okay, so in that case, it might be some kind of a live migration. Okay, Microsoft perform live migration in three situations: plant maintenance when they have plant, or hardware failure, or some kind of allocation optimizations. Now here, what is live migration actually? So live migration means when the machine is actually not rebooted, but it is freeze. So the memory is actually freezed and paused for a few seconds. Okay, and that duration generally varies. Sometimes it is up to 5 seconds, 10 seconds, or 30 seconds, so vary. Okay, so machine will not be rebooted, but yes, it may be freezed for a few seconds. Okay, whenever they are doing a live migration, so that we call it as a live migrations. Okay, and Microsoft generally perform the live migration in these situations when they are doing a plant maintenance or hardware failure or allocation optimizations. Okay, then there could be a situation that Microsoft is doing some kind of maintenance activity. Okay, some updates in the data center which requires a reboot also. If it require a reboot, so definitely our machines would also reboot in their data centers. So in that case, what would happen? So first, Microsoft will notify in advance that this is our plant maintenance activity and machines will be rebooted. And this plant maintenance have two phases. One is self-service phase and second is a scheduled maintenance phase. So Microsoft tells that either let your machine reboot automatically in the scheduled maintenance phase. Okay, so if you're selecting this option, so whenever they are doing the activity as per the schedule, this will happen. Or they will give you an option to choose the self-service phase. In this self-service phase, you can schedule your reboot, okay, within the 35 days of time. Okay, so in that case, like if you don't want to reboot your machine on that particular schedule, so you have a timeline up to 35 days. So that is the option you can choose for. Then post that, the next thing for your availability for your machines is the availability set. Now, what is this availability set? I'm giving a scenario. Let's assume my organization has decided that I want to have one application to be hosted on 3 machines, the same application to be hosted on 3 machines, so that if one machine goes down, the other machine should be available. And I have created 3 machines on the cloud. Now, I want to specify to the Microsoft that these 3 machines should not be deployed on same rack, same hardware set. When we say the same hardware set, means same, which are having a same power input, same network, same storage. Okay, I want to keep those machines isolated. We call it as a fault domain. So availability set actually is just like a definition, just like a guideline. I'm going to tell Microsoft that how I want my machine to be deployed in the Azure data center. Okay, so in this availability set, I need to specify two things. One is a fault domain. In fault domain, I specify how my machine deployment will be isolated based on the hardware level. Okay, like this is FD0 first rack, this is FD0 second rack, this is FD2 my third rack. So when I deploy my machine, my first machine will deploy in this, my second machine will deploy in second rack, my third machine will deploy in third rack. So this is a hardware level isolation. Then this availability set also has update domain. So I say that update domain means what? Microsoft will be doing their hypervisor update. Like my virtual machine is deployed in this particular host, in this particular hypervisor. So if they are doing any hypervisor update and they keep my all the machine on the same hypervisor, same host, and if that get rebooted, my all three machines will be rebooted. I don't want that. I want that whenever you are doing this updates of the hypervisor, keep my machine in different hypervisor. But how I can tell to the Microsoft? I can tell using this update domain. Okay, so in this update domain and fault domain, we generally specify the count. That fault domain count is 3, update domain count is this much. So on that, my machines will be segregated. My first machine will deploy in first host, second machine will deploy in second host, next machine will deploy in next host. Okay, but yes, when we are using this availability set, it means on all those virtual machines, I'm running a same kind of workload, same kind of service, then I would get a benefit. Like all are running same application, same web server. Okay, so if the one machine is not working, one machine is rebooted or down, you have other machines running at the same time. So you can use availability set that will help you to make your machines highly available. Post that availability set, we have some more options for availability. Before that, we need to understand one concept, that what is scaling. Okay, when we speak about the scaling, so there are two types of scaling. One is a vertical scaling. What is vertical scaling? I have one machine, okay, that has some configuration. Let's assume that has 16 GB of RAM, 4 CPU. And I want to increase the configuration of same server. Means instead of 16 GB, I want to have a 64 GB of RAM. Okay, or I want to have, instead of a 4 CPU, I want to have 12 CPU on the same server. So when you want to increase the configuration of same server, this is known as a vertical scaling. We also call it as a scale up. So scale up or vertical scale is same thing. Or you can decrease the configuration as well. Means for a same server, you think that I have 10 CPU, 16 CPU I have given allocated, but I don't need that. I can work very well with the 8 CPU. So you can decrease that as well. So whenever you are increasing or decreasing the configuration of same server, it is known as scale up or down, or we call it as a vertical scaling. Okay, this vertical scaling has a limit. Like this configuration can be upgraded to this limit only. Okay, like this will have a maximum compatibility up to upgrade to the 500 GB of RAM. We can't upgrade more than that. It can have up to 16 CPU, but we cannot add more CPU on that. Okay, so vertical scaling has that limit also. Then we have second type of scaling. We call it as a scale out or scaling, or it's known as a horizontal scaling. What is this horizontal scaling? I'm having one server which has one application running. Now I want the same application to be running on multiple server. So I want to increase the count of the server. Okay, I want to increase the instance count, the server count. So this is known as the horizontal scaling. Okay, so in this case, initially I was having one server and now I am having more server. Okay, so the load will be distributed. Okay, now in future I want to add more. Okay, so instead of 3 I want to have the 6 server now. Okay, so in this case now the same thing is running on multiple machines. Okay, so this is known as a horizontal scaling, or we call it as a scale out. You can increase the count or you can decrease the count. So this is known as scale out or scale in. Okay, you should know the difference between horizontal scaling and vertical scaling. This is very much important. At some places the different term would be used. In simple if you compare it to the English, scale out or scale up looks same, but technically it is are different. Okay, and horizontal scale doesn't have any limit. You can have n number of instance count increased here. Okay, if you are doing it for your physical servers and all. Okay, comparative to your vertical scaling, you can increase it more and more. Then Microsoft provide you one thing which is known as a scale set. What is this scale set? This scale set is actually a set of virtual machines. Okay, now in which situation when we can use this particular thing and what would be the benefits for using this thing. So when we speak about the scale set, okay, it means it is a group of machine, and group of machines means group of machine that will have same services, same configuration running. So if I'm installing some configuration, that will run on all the machines. This set can have 2 machines, this set can have 10 machines, this set can have up to 1000 instances. Okay, now the benefit for using this scale set is what? This is you can use this scale set for your horizontal scaling as well as for your vertical scaling requirement. So initially I have 3 sets of machine running and my demand get increased. Okay, all of a sudden I have, let's suppose on every Friday or every month end I have some huge demand, and because of the high utilization my demand get increased. So I can set some auto scaling based on threshold or schedule, and what will happen in that particular case, when the demand get increased, the instance count, this instance count is what? This is again a set of machines, so it will be increased. And if the demand get decreased, I can again set some threshold and define, okay, if I don't need, if the utilization comes down, the instance count should again comes down. Okay, now what other benefits we have for this scale set? The first benefit, you can centrally configure all these machines. So if I have to configure something, I don't need to configure on all the machines one by one. I can manage, I can update, I can configure all those machines in one shot. So that is a central configuration or central management. Okay. Then whenever you would be using this scale set, this will be used with load balancer or application gateway. So the front end would be the load balancer, and in the back end your scale set would be there. You can have up to 1000 VM instances in your scale set. So Microsoft provide you up to 1000 VM instances. Okay, if you choose the Microsoft Marketplace images. If you are using your custom image, like you don't want to use the operating system image which is available on Azure, you want to have your own custom image. In that case, the maximum count is 600 currently, but yes, these counts and these values may be increased in the future. So you should always go and check the current Microsoft documentations, Azure documentations for the current limit. Then post this scale set, Microsoft gives you one more option for availability, that is the availability zone. What is this availability zone? In previous slides, we discussed about the availability set, and we have seen that I can deploy my machine in Azure in a different rack, different hardware or different host. So in that case, what will happen? That will give you redundancy within the data center failure. Okay, so if within the data center, some server get failed, some rack get failed, some power outage is there in one rack or one server, you have a redundancy. But think about if their entire data center is failed and you want to make an environment, you want to make a virtual machine redundant in that situation. In those situations, Microsoft says you can use the availability zone feature. So when you deploy your machine, you deploy in different availability zone. So in every Azure region, Microsoft generally has 3 availability zone. Okay. Uh, it depends on region to region, that in that specific region whether they are providing this availability zone feature or not. In some region it is available, in some region it is not yet available. So you need to check the current availability for this feature. If it is available and you deploy your machines in different availability zones, so what will happen? So if this availability zone is actually your data center, okay, so within one region they have 3 data centers. If one data center goes down, your another machine is available in different data center. The machine is redundant. You have a redundancy between the data center as well. Okay, so anytime when you want a zone level redundancy, you can choose this availability zone. So now let's have the second question. So the second question is for virtual machine scale set, scale out and scale up are same thing. True or false? You can answer the question from the URL q.azureeasy.com/2, or you can scan the QR code. The URL will be typed in the Q&A window as well. You have a 60 seconds of time, 1 minute of time. For virtual machine scale set, scale out and scale up are same thing, true or false?
Fifty more seconds.
So once the Q&A would be opened, you people can ask the question in the Q&A window as well. If you have any questions, any doubt that you want to discuss related to today's agenda, you can ask. You feel free to ask any questions. We will try to answer all the questions. And if any question is unanswered as of now, you can ask the same question in AzureTalk Telegram group. We would be answering all the questions there.
Okay, so we have the result now. So
okay, so let me show the answer for this second question. False. Yes, correct. So for virtual machine scale set, scale out and scale up are same thing. No, scale out and scale up are not the same thing. When we say the scale out, this is horizontal scaling, and scale up is vertical scaling. Both are different thing. Okay. So let's come back to this thing. I have one more question for you people. For what? Okay. Deploying VM in availability zone will provide redundancy in case of data center failure. True or false? This is question number 3. So you can use https://q.azureeasy.com/3 or scan the QR code. Deploying virtual machine in availability zone will provide redundancy in case of data center failure. True or false? So you have 60 seconds. you can answer the question in that time. Ashish, we have the response now.
Yeah, yeah, I'm just opening the question actually. Just wait for some time.
Okay.
Okay, question is open. People can respond to the answers now. Due to some reason, it was taking some time to open the question. Yeah.
Okay, no worries. So we'll give you 60 seconds again, and you can answer the question. You can either scan the QR code or type the link in your web browser.
Okay, so we have the result now.
Okay, so let me show the results to the people. Deploying VM in availability zone will provide redundancy in case of data center failure. Correct. Okay, good to see that most of the people have answered correctly. So let's continue the session now. Today's last section that we are going to discuss is a virtual machine extension. What is this virtual machine extension actually? Once you deploy a virtual machine in the cloud, Microsoft provide you one service that is a virtual machine extensions. Means I have to perform some activity in my machine. I want to run some script on that machine. So generally people have to log into that machine. Now, based on which machine we are using, whether we are using a Windows machine or it's a Linux operating system, based on that, Microsoft provide you some different set of extensions. Okay, there are many extensions available on Azure portal. There are many third-party options are available. You can use your own extensions. It's simply like some kind of a script, some kind of command, some scripts that I want to run, some script I want to execute in that machine. So you can go and choose this virtual machine extensions. Okay, if it is a Windows machine, I can run my PowerShell command there, PowerShell scripts there. I can use PowerShell DSC. I can use Chef. I can use Puppet. I can run Bash related script there. Okay, so there are a variety of extensions available. Once the machine will be created, you have these options available on virtual machines property, virtual machines blade. Okay, and you can select, like here are the some of the examples. These are just some example I have taken in a screenshot. But once you log into the portal, you will see there are many options available. Like I can see I can have this Azure pipeline agent. I can use a PowerShell DSC, or I can use a custom script. Okay, so just install this extension, add your script, and that will be executed. Okay, so it will save your time and it will make your life easy to execute the scripts in your machine. Okay, so with this, we have covered all the concepts related to virtual machines. Plus, we have covered the compute service as well. So like for exam perspective, the compute has virtual machine skill set, your containerization that we covered in our last weekend. Okay, so we have covered all the topics that we require to prepare for the examinations. Okay, so now we'll be having 10 minutes of break, and post break, Ram, my co-speaker, will help you and show you some of the demos. Okay, he will show you that how to deploy virtual machines in various way in cloud. Plus, he will also help you to show how to use extensions and virtual machine scale set. Okay. Meanwhile, if anyone has any questions, they can write the questions in Q&A window. Okay. So I will open this timer for now. So we'll come back in 10 minutes and we'll have a demo at that time.
All right. So yeah, hello everyone. So yes, as Vipin has said, we will be having 10 minutes break now. And in the meanwhile, if you guys have any questions, then you can start putting in into the Q&A section, and our speakers will try to answer them during the break, or they will try to answer them after the break whenever they get some time. And if at all we might not be able to answer all the questions, then we will strongly, request you, recommend you to join our Telegram group, where you can ask any Azure related questions, and we will be happy to help you there. And also we have more than 7,000 members who also respond to various queries related to either issues that you are getting with Azure, or maybe some concept or something that you are learning new in Azure. Yeah, thank you. Let's meet after break. Yeah, Ram, you there? Hello.
Assis, I'm here.
Yeah, please go ahead and take over. Share your screen, and you may start.
Okay, thanks, Assis. Yeah. Please confirm if you are able to see my screen.
Yeah, it's working. Yeah.
Okay. Let me bring the presentations. Yeah.
Okay, so guys, while Ram is starting up, so we have closed the Q&A for the time being, and in between the lab, we will try to open the Q&A if you'll get some time, or post lab, we will try to see the feasibility of having a Q&A session. Yeah. Okay, Ram, please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Hi all. Welcome back to the session. Yeah. So as Bipin has already explained more about the virtual machines functionality today and their day-to-day operations, how you can enable the high availability, how you can utilize all those functions. So today's demo is also around those component only. Today I'm going to demonstrate like how you can use something like ability sets or availability zone, how you can use the scale sets, how you can do the custom scalings, or you can do the manual scalings. Okay, so the complete demo will be around that. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, like these are the some topics, and there are some subtopics also. In first lab, I will be deploying like virtual machines in the availability sets, where I will go through the explaining you about or showing how you can configure the like fault domain and update domain, which Vipin has already explained, right? And when you create a multiple virtual machines in availability sets, how it is getting to be placed between the fault domain and update domains, right? Then I will take the another things like changing the dynamic IP to a static IP. Like when you deploy any of the virtual machines in the Azure, by default, you will get a dynamic IP, whether it's a private IP or public IP. On both sides, you will be getting a dynamic IP, right? But if you have some use case where you want to change those IP to the static IP, how you can do that? I will walk through you like how you can add the data disk. When you deploy a virtual machines, you have a options during the deployment itself. You can add the additional disk as a data disk, or if your virtual machines is already deployed, you can go ahead and create additional data disk for your requirement. Then in another lab, I will show you again the install the extensions, and as Bipin has explained, the extensions is like a small set of software which you use or which you push to your VMs post deployment, like configuring some agents, some antivirus agents, some backup agents, or you can use some your scripts, custom scripts, which you can also put, which you can also push to the VM using the extensions options, right? I will also walk through you how to create an image. I see there is a lot of questions related to image, how to create a custom image, right? I will give you a small demo on that as well, and then I will give you a small demo on the Western host as well, like how you can use Western host to connect your virtual machine securely. Like normally what we do, like we use either public IP to connect our VMs, or we use site-to-site VPN, like, or point-to-site VPN kind of things, which we will go through during our networking sessions. There is another options, like you can use the Western host, and using Western host you can connect to your VM on private IP through the HTTPS. You don't have to use the protocols like RDP or SSH. Okay. Then we will move to the next lab, where we will have some things. We will be deploying the Azure Virtual Machines scale sets, right? And part of a scale sets, like we will be deploying virtual machines in multiple zones, ability zones, right? The Edge virtual machines scale sets, as definition it says like it is a group of the virtual machines which you build for the same purpose or identical usage, right? And you have to do like you can do common task across your all virtual machine sets, or if you want to create a numbers of virtual machines which should have the identical image, applications, all those things, how you are going to use the scale sets, right? And then we will look around like how you can use some metrics like performance metrics, whether it's a CPU utilizations or memory utilizations or network utilizations, and based on that you can scale up or scale out or scale in your virtual machines, right? Okay, so let's move to the demo portal and start with the first lab. So yeah, let me just confirm if you are able to see Microsoft Azure portal. Okay. Assis, it's visible, right?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you for confirmations. Yeah. So so we are going to start the first demo or first lab. You say like deploy virtual machines in ability sets. So what we can do, like to deploy virtual machines in ability sets, you have options like either you can create a new ability sets when you are deploying the virtual machines, or you can create ability sets in advance and then you can select that or choose that ability sets when availability sets when you deploying the virtual machine. So what I'm going to do, like I'm going to create the availability sets first. Okay, so here you see like you can just either you can go and search here, or you can go from the all service menu and select the ability sets, right? So I'm selecting the ability sets, and then you just have to say create. You have to select your resource group, and then you have to give a name of your availability sets, right? So I'm saying like AzureTalk AVS, or yeah, AVS 01. Okay. Some meaningful name, and then again you have to select your regions where you want to deploy these availability sets or your applications, and then the default domain and the update domain. So by default, like you will have up to it's depend on the different regions, right? So you will have somewhere you will see like up to 5 fault domain, somewhere you will see the up to 3 fault domain. For this demo, I'm going to select 2, and also like update domain, you can have up to 20, right? So for the demo, I'm just selecting the 2 update domains. Okay, what is a fault domain and update domain? It's all like as Bipin has explained. The fault domain is actually like where virtual machines in the same fault domain share a common power source and physical network switches, right? So all the virtual machines, take example, if you look around the data center, you have a computer racks, right? And that racks is having the powers and network which is coming from the out, and all the virtual machines or all the physical machines in that rack is going to use the common source of power and network, right? So that's you can consider as a one update domain, fault domain, where the update domain is more about like the virtual machines in the same update domain will be restarted together during the planned maintenance. Like if Microsoft has like decided to do some maintenance on physical host, they will restart all those physical hosts which is in the one update domain. So if you have distributed your VMs or virtual machines against two different update domains or multiple update domains, so at a time only one virtual machines which is part of that update domain can have impact, right? So I'm selecting 2 and 2, and then here is the use manage disk. Like if you want to use manage disk, or you want to go to a storage account kind of things, right? Then next, and in advance, we don't have much options. Like we have a proximity placement group. This particular group is like in data centers. If you create a placement group, what Microsoft will do, like he will try to keep all the VMs part of that group nearby, like so, and this will help you in improving the latency between them and performance between them, right? So you can see when the definition saying like Azure resource physically closer than the closer together in the same regions, right? So we don't have any placement group, and I'm moving to next. And tags, we have already, I mean, tags is just a tagging your resource for the easy search, or making a unique taxonomy like kind of things, where you can search all related object by using one text or one key value, right? Go ahead and create. So just I'm waiting for to get it finished, and it is not going to take much time. It will be created very soon, and yeah. So yeah, my resource is created now. Now, if I go back to the our ability sets, you will find one resource is already created here. It's taking some time to refresh. Sorry. It's just a matter of the second and Explorer refresh. Okay, I will come back to there, and we'll see it should be created. Yeah, so here you see like it was just to browser refresh time. Here the ability sets is already created, and you can see the properties. There are like two fall domain, two update domain, and right now you don't have any virtual machines here, right? So now I'm going to create some virtual machines, and while I will be creating those virtual machines, I am going to use or select this AzureTalk AVS as our ability sets. Okay, so let's move and create a virtual machines. Yeah, so I need to select this our subscriptions, and then we have to select the resource group, and then we have to give a name for some meaningful name for our virtual machines, right? So I'm giving a AGVM and selecting the regions. The options here, like you see, like availability options, and here you are going to select like where you want to go for the availability sets or availability zone. This demonstration is for the availability sets, and I'm going to select this, and then you will get a new options like whether you want to create right away. As I told you, you can create during the deployment, or you can create in advance and select it from here, right? And then you have to select your marketplace image for your operating systems, which I'm selecting here as a Windows 2016 data center editions, right? And then size, like we have a different size for the virtual machines, and these are the different family which Bipin was explaining. Right here, you can see like this is the general family, and if you remove the filter, you can have the you can have all different families showing here. So if you click here, see all, you will have different family like memory optimized or CPU optimized, right? So for these demonstrations, I'm going to choose one of the one of the virtual machines which is from the general family. So let's select some. Yep. Okay, and then we have to give a username passwords. And the ports which you want to connect these virtual machines. Then we have a disk options, and here this is a configurations of your OS disk, like what kind of OS disk you want, like whether you want a standard HDD, a standard SSD, or premium SSD. What are the difference between this all, and what would be the benefit by selecting one over others? We will be going through this during our storage sections, storage tracks, or yes, sessions, which is upcoming for the next week maybe. Yeah. Right now, I'm just selecting the premium SSD, and then we have options called encryptions type, right? So by default, your OS disks are encrypted by the platform managed key, which is provided by the Microsoft. So this is something called server-side encryptions, where Microsoft already encrypt your disk at rest, right? You have another options, like you can use your own key. So what will happen, like you have to bring your key, and either you can generate those key through the key vault, or you can bring your key to the key vault, and then you can select those keys from there, and you can encrypt with your own key as well. Okay. And this is the options where you can add additional data disk. You can attach or create and attach right now, or you can do it later as well. Okay. And then we have some advanced options. Again, the advanced options is about where you want to select a managed disk, or you want to go through the unmanaged disk, like using a storage account. So if I select no, it will ask me to create a new storage account, or choose or select my storage accounts which is already created here. So for this demo, I'm selecting as a managed disk. Under networking sections, it will ask you to select your virtual network, on which virtual network you want to create your VMs, right? So I'm selecting here AzureTalk VNet, which I have already pre-created, and then it is asking me to select the subnets, like which subnets you want to create, right? The public IP, now if you want to get a public IP to connect your virtual machines from the outside, okay? And then we have a network security group option. So basic is like it is already allowed here. If you go for the advanced, it will ask you to create your security group and define manually what all ports you want to add as a rule for the inbound or outbound. Okay, so I'm just moving with basic. Then we have accelerated networking options, and this is basically give you the better performance or better true outputs for your networks, right? Networking interface. Then if you want to integrate, or if you want to add these virtual machines placed under any of the load balancer, you can select from here. Okay, so yeah. Then we have a management options, like if you want to enable some monitoring stuffs, like you want to have a boot diagnostics, or if you want to get a OS guest diagnostics. For now, I am switching this all off. Identity is like system managed identity, something like when you are going to use this VM in any of these solutions and you want to access Azure based resource. Instead of using the credentials like username, passwords for those resources, you can use role-based access. Like you assign a role, you create a role which will have permissions to access those resources, and you can assign that roles to these virtual machines, which will give you privilege to these virtual machines accessing those resources, right? And then we have some automations here using which you can plan shutdown of your virtual machines on a specific times. Okay, and before shutting down, you can specify your email ID or your IT team email ID where you can send the notifications. And then similar to that, if you want to enable the backup for these virtual machines. Okay. The advanced are like as Bipin was explaining about the extensions. So you can select those extensions here as well, or you can do it later as well. So I will show you. It will be make a more I mean easy to understand if I will do it later, and so I'm just skipping for now. Okay, so let's create these virtual machines. Yeah, so this virtual machines is getting created. Just we have to wait for the a couple of minutes, maybe 1 minute to get it created. Okay, so this virtual machine is submitted, and now if go ahead and create another virtual machines in the same availability sets, and I'm just selecting the same resource group, and I'm giving this virtual machine's name as a VM02. And yeah, I'm selecting the availability sets again, and I'm selecting the availability sets which I've already created here. Then the operating systems and the size of the virtual machines and credentials. Okay. It's okay. Then you have, I'm not going to now, I've already explained this all options, so I'm just skipping for this. And let me select the correct subnames and next, review and create. So I have submitted a request for the 2 virtual machines, and both the virtual machines are getting created. You can see here the deployment is in progress, right? And yes, so you can go on resource group. You can look for the deployment, and here you can find like what are the jobs or deployments are running on these virtual machines and for how long. So it can, if you want to find like how much times your virtual machines has took to get provisioned, you can find it from here. Okay, so it's still deploying. Let's wait for the few more minutes. Okay, so I think one virtual machine is deployed. Yeah, you can see the status is changed to succeeded, and now I'm waiting for the another virtual machines to get deployed. Okay, while this virtual machines is creating, yeah, I can look for the availability sets, like how it looks in availability sets. And if I go to again the same resource group and select our availability sets, you can sort by type here if you want to look for the resource, which resource is what. So you can go here and click on type, and it will give you the name, like which virtual machine, I mean which resource are what is the resource, this resource specifically. So now I've selected the availability sets, and you can see that still one virtual machine is getting created. But if you see the first virtual machines, which is like AGVM01, this is already placed in the fall domain 0 and update domain 0. Okay, now let's I'm expecting the another virtual machines which I'm creating, it should be in fall domain 1 and update domain 1, because I have only 2 fall domains and 2 update domains. If you have multiple fall domains and update domains, and you will be creating virtual more virtual machines, it will get distributed among this fall domain and update domain in some things like a round robin fashion. So like the first virtual machines will go to 0 0, then second virtual machines will go to 1 1, like that. Okay, then the third virtual machines, if you have more update domain and fall domain, it will be distributed there. So just wait for a few more couple of minutes to get it created. It's taking a little more time. Yeah, so this virtual machines is also deployment is succeeded. And now if I go back to the availability sets, and just do the refresh here as well. So it's taking a little more time to reflect here, or maybe you just refresh. Okay, yeah. So now you see like AGVM02 is already placed under the fall domain 1 and update domain 1, right? So yeah, if you had, as I told, like if you have more fall domain and update domains, so your VM will be your virtual machines will be distributed among those fall domains and update domains in round robin fashions, right? Let's move to the another labs, which is like if you look for the virtual machines here, take a first example of the first virtual machines, right? And go to networking configurations, right? Here you see like these virtual machines have some public IP assigned and some private IP assigned. But again, these IP are assigned dynamically through the DSCP servers, which is managed by the Azure, right? So if I want to change those IP as a static IP, like I have some requirement where I am putting this IP or configuring this IP on my on-premises DNS, and I don't want to see that IP get changed for any regions, right? So I want to configure those IP as a static IP. In such case, one thing you have to be very careful, like in Azure or any cloud, like you should be not changing this IP at OS level, right? Because if you are changing those IP at OS level, the DSCP, which is running at Azure Resource Manager layer, he is not aware of what IP you are using at OS level, and in that case, you may have the conflict sometime, right? So always it's suggested to change this IP from the portal only, like if you want to change a static or if you want to change dynamic, right? So I'm going to change first the private IP as a static IP. So to do that, we have to click on the network interface, and then you have to go in IP configurations, right? And here we will see for this network interface, this is the IP configurations, and here you will see the private IP listed as a dynamic, right? We just click on one more time there and just change the assignment from the dynamic to a static. Then you can use the same IP which is already there, or you can select any of the IP from this given subnets. You are not giving the IP from out of subnets. If you do that, you will be lose the connectivity for that virtual machines, right? So I'm going to click save. And it will just take few seconds. Yeah, it is get network configurations is saved here. And now if you go back to networking and click on the network interface, go to IP configurations, right? And you can notice that IP has changed from the dynamic to static now. In similar way, like you can do the dynamic to static IP change for the public IP as well. And for that, again, you have to go on virtual machines overview. And either you can click on this public IP, or you can just search for the public IP from here, and you can change it from there as well. So I'm going to use this method, like just click on your public IP, and you will come to the page where it will show you like what is your assignment. So if you want to, if it is a dynamic, you can change it by just clicking here, and it will give you a public IP. Again, you are not bringing your own public IP here. It is not options. This IP will be again assigned by the Microsoft from their public IP pool. Only thing what you are doing here is you are making it static. So in the case of your VM reboot or deallocations, it is not going to change. So yeah, you see like this configuration is also saved, and now this IP is changed to a static, right? Now coming back to the same virtual machines and looking about the how you can connect those virtual machines, right? So it's a default, like if you have a Windows virtual machines, you have a protocol like remote desktop protocol, RDP, which is say in short form, or you have a SSH protocol, right, using which you can connect those virtual machines. But right now, these virtual machines have public IP, and I have allowed a rule here. If you go in networking, and if you see the inbound rule, I have allowed this rule to connect on this port 3389 from anywhere in. Okay, this is not the secure method, right? Because you are exposing one of the ports to all over world, right? Instead of that, what you can do, you can connect these virtual machines from your on premises or your environment using the something called site-to-site VPN or point-to-site VPN kind of things, and which you will see what is those site-to-site or point-to-point VPN in our upcoming sessions on networking, right? Now I don't have that things configured here, like I don't have a VPN gateway configured. I can't create the site-to-site VPN and all those things, but I want to connect this virtual machine securely. So what Microsoft providing a solutions for that is called Western host, right? So what you can do, you can go on virtual machines, and when you click on connect, it will ask you like if you want to connect using the Western host, or you can connect SSH on RDP. So RDP is for your Windows operating system, SSH for your Linux operating system. Then Western host will work for the both. Okay, so either you can click here, or if you have already and it will give you options like you want to create your Western host, or if you have already created, then it will pick the Western host from created already, right? So I have for this demonstrations, I have already created a Western host. Let me show you. So if you go on Westerns, right, and here you can see I have already created a Western host, right? If you want to create a new Western host, like you just have to click on add. You have to you have to say like which subscription you want to create, which resource group you want to create, right? And then you have to give it some meaningful name. Okay, and then you have to select your region, which region you want to connect this Western host, and then your network interface. One very important thing is like for the network interface, you need to create a special subnet under your virtual network, and that subnet name should be exact Azure Western subnet, and then only it is going to detect or it is going to fetch that particular subnet as a dedicated for the Western host. Otherwise, it will give you error. And as you can see on this VNets, I have already created a Western host and already I have a subnet, but it's saying like virtual network is already associated with Western host, so I can't create another one here. Okay, and once you fill those information, you can save review and create. It will create a Western host for that for you, and same things I did here, and it's already Western host is created here. Now on this Western host, if you look, it have a public DNS. It doesn't exposing the first like IP directly. It have a public DNS. So when you will be connecting a virtual machines using this Western host, it is going to open through the HTTPS instead of going through the RDP or SSH directly from the your endpoint, like your client machines. Okay, and also you can see sessions. Right now, this Western host is not having any session. It's not connected to any of the virtual machines, right? So let's move and try to connect one of the virtual machines using the Western host. Okay, so like I'm saying connect and Western, it is asking me username, password. Okay, and I'm saying connect. So you see it's redirecting to HTTPS, right? Instead of going through your portal, and it will ask you to allow your pop-up and on your browser, right? And it's connected. So now I'm connected to same Windows machines, remote desktop, but I'm not doing the RDP directly to the virtual machines, right? The RDP is going through the Western host. So I've connected to Western host through the HTTPS, and then from there, it's going a RDP protocol on private network to the that particular virtual machine, and that you can see here if you go back to your Western host. And now if you see the session here, let it load. Here if you see the session, so this is a session ID and it is connected to AGVM01, AGVM01, and it is connected on the private IP of that virtual machines, right? Now, if you look for these virtual machines, right, and if I try to open my computer here, or Explorer here, just taking time. Yeah, so you will see like these virtual machines have only C drive and D drive, right? We don't have any data drive. C drive is the OS drive, and D drive is the temporary drive, which is presented to these virtual machines from the physical host machines directly where it is running, right? And this drive is kind of volatile. Like if you are storing some information here, it is not going to store here. So the use case of this this drive is like you want to have swap file kind of things, page file kind of things, which is get deleted automatically when you reboot your machines. All right. Now, in this demo, I'm going to add data disk for these virtual machines, right? So let's open the disk management here. It's taking time, 1 minute. Okay, let's open from here. So here you see like this particular virtual machines have only disk 0 and disk 1, and disk 0 is C drive and disk 1 is the D drive. And if you do the re-scannings, it doesn't have any other disk here. Okay, now I'm going to add a disk on this virtual machine. So what I'm going to do, let me browse to portal back and select that particular virtual machines. and go under disk sections, right? Here you will see like these virtual machines have only one disk, and which is the 127 GB of, and this is your OS disk. So now I'm going to add a data disk here. When you will be adding the data disk, you have to select those disks, like either if you have already created those disks in advance, or this is the beauty of actually Azure Resource Manager. If you have not created this, it will allow you to create right away from here using the like Resource Manager APIs, right? So I am saying create new, and then it will ask you for that disk name. What is the name you want to give for that particular disk, right? So I'm saying 01 dot data disk 01. Now, again, you have to select which resource group you are going to create this data disk, and it will by default select it, because you can't have VM from the one region and disk from the other region. So it is already grayed out, right? Then you have a source type. What is actually source type here? So when you are attaching a data disk, you have a multiple options. The first option is none, which means you are going to create a managed disk, right? Which is managed by the Microsoft, and you don't have to think about like replications, LRS, GRS, which you will see during the storage section. So you don't have to worry about those things. That will be taken care by the Microsoft. The another options are like a storage blob. So this particular options is basically for the, like, no, if you want to create a unmanaged disk, you want to use your storage account. So then you have to select the subscriptions, and then you have to browse your storage accounts. And if you see, I have two storage accounts in my environment right now, and it is giving it is listing those storage accounts to select me. Okay, so let's back. And the third options, if you have notice here, is 1 minute. Okay, sorry. It's some, yeah. The third options, if you notice here, is a snapshots, right? So take example, if you have already one VM running somewhere, and it have a data disk, and you want to move those data disk, or you want to create same data disk on the another virtual machine, so it preloaded data and all those things. What you can do, you can take a snapshot of that data disk there, or and you can select that snapshots from here. So it will create it will restore that snapshot as a disk here. Okay, so I'm going to select as a none. And then what is the size of your disk? Like it is going to be 1 TB, 2 TB, and you have a multiple options here. And again, this is based on the disk tiers and their IOPS and performance. You can select which disk is suitable for your environment, right? So I'm selecting the 1 TB disk, P30. And then again, how you are going to encrypt your data disk. You are going to use the Microsoft provided default encryptions, or you want to bring your own encryptions, right? So I'm using the default one. Create, and sorry. Okay, so I'm giving some meaningful name just here. So create. Now this disk is getting created, and once this disk will create, then you will have options to attach that disk on the page, right? So let's wait for the disk to be created, get created. Yeah, so your disk is created now, right? And you are back to the first window, like where you have to attach. So you have to give a LUN ID like 0, 1, 2, which will make a your like your SKG ID for your disk, right? And then you have to select a name which you have just created, and it will tell you like what is the type of this disk card, what is the size, and then you have to if you want to enable a read-only caching or read-write caching. And this is basically depend on your applications or your usage which you want to use, for which you want to use this data disk, right? And then you just have to click save, right? Okay, so this disk is saved here, and now if you go to now if you look on disk here, you have a two disk here. One is the OS disk and another is the data disk. And now you go to VM and try to do rescan of disk, right? Just taking it a couple of minutes. Yeah, so you can see like we have got a new disk, which is the unallocated and disk 2 and the size of the 1 TB, and that is the our disk which you have added. So you just have to, this is a normal operations which you do on any kind of servers when you adding any disk. So I've just initialized that disk, and then you can just create a simple volume for that, right? So I've just created F drive and then finish. And yeah, now if you look at your My Computer or Explorer, you will have the one additional disk, which is F drive, right? So here you see like your F drive is created. Now you can go ahead and use your, sorry, it's a little bit slow. Yeah, so now you can go ahead and create your data. You can put all your files and everything, so you can install your applications. Okay, so that's how you can add the disk of any of the existing VM. And I have already shown you the options when during the installations of, or during the provisioning itself, you can select the data disk. All you can provision the data disk as well, right? So moving to the another example, like installing a custom extensions or installing a using a extensions for your virtual machines. So take example, now this virtual machines is fully provisioned, right? This virtual machines is up, but before moving to the productions, I may need to have installed the some agent, some agents, like I have to install a backup agents. I have to install a some antivirus agents, monitoring agents, those kind of things I have to do on these virtual machines, right? For doing that, either we can come here or you can copy those those agents manually from somewhere, and you can connect each and every virtual machines manually, and you can run it, right? Similar things you can do through the Azure portal itself, and that's options is called something extensions here. So if you go to extension, if you go to extension, you have options to add extensions, right? And if you click on here, and also like there are many services like backup services, like antivirus services, which are now offered as a service from the providers, right? But to opt for that service, you need to install the agent of that service on your virtual machines, right? And doing that, again, either you have options to download those agents manually and go on install on each and every virtual machines, or what you can do, if that provider has already published their agents as an extension in marketplace, it will list here, and you can just simply select that agents and say create. When you will say the create, it will ask you some information specific to that subscriptions, like if you have opted for the semantic antivirus as a service on cloud, then it will ask for your customer ID, domain ID, and all those informations will be provided by vendor to you, and then you will fill it and then say okay. So what will happen, that in background it will install the agents here, and also it will register your agent to the your service providers, right? So I don't have such information here. So what I'm going to use, a script which is like just a simple PowerShell script, and using that script I'm going to install a IIS on these virtual machines. Okay, and for that, what I have to select, the options called custom script extensions. Okay, when I will click on create, it will ask you for the locations of that scripts, right? So I have and this is some things you have to write your script and upload your script to a storage account, okay, under blogs. So I have already done that, and I have a script folder here, and here you see I have a scripts already uploaded here, right? So I'm going to select one of the scripts here. Then you have options called arguments or parameters, and this options is again based on your scripts. So if in your scripts, if you have left some things as a parameters where you want to input those value manually, you can put it here, and it's based on your scripts only. So I don't have such things, so I can say like okay, and as well as soon as click on OK, my request is submitted here, right? So it is going to take sometimes about 1 to 2 minutes. So what it will do, it will install that particular script. Yeah, it will add as extensions, and then whatever the instructions written in that extensions, it will try to execute as for that on their particular server, right? So just wait for the few seconds or minute to get it completed. Okay, I'm still waiting for this to be finished. Yeah, it is going to take a little longer based on the deployment and based on the options what we have given in the scripts, right? So you just have to wait for this to be completed. So the first things which you will see on the screens, once it's get completed, it will say the status as a transitioning, right? That means it is a like it is in transitions, it is getting deployed, okay, and then it will status will change to succeed or failed based on the so here you see like the status has now changed as a transitioning, and if you wait for a few more sorry, few more minutes, it will status will change as a succeeded if it succeed, or if some reason if it's failed, it will fail, okay. And then if it's failed, then it will give you some information here like as a in form of the error or JSON format, and using which you can diagnose why it is a failed, and you can take actions and you can redeploy that script again. Okay. Meantime, what I'm going to do, since I'm deploying a IIS here, and I have to test that IIS through the port 80, right? So if you look on the networking side of this, right now only 3389 is allowed, right? So what I'm going to add, I'm going to add an inbound rule which will allow the port 80 from the outside, right? So source and source port range, I'm going to give it as any AD, and then destinations also I'm leaving any. The port what I'm going to hit on the local, I mean on this VM is the port 80, right? And then protocol, either you can select TCP based on the based on your protocol. Like if it's HTTP works on TCP 80, you can select 80, or if your protocol works on UDP, you have to select that particular port. So I'm leaving it, and then you have to define the priority and give some meaningful name for that ports and say add. Okay, so yeah, it's security rule is created. Deployment is still in progress. Let's try to browse this portal. Maybe it's just a reflections. It will take time, but let's try to browse if port it's already IIS installed and we are able to see some things. If not, we have to wait for that deployments to get completed. Okay, so right now nothing is coming. If you see here, still deployment is in progress. That means it's getting installed. Yeah, it's still in transitioning, so we may need to wait for a little longer. Okay, so now you see like web page is already loaded, and this is the VM you are connected, right? AG VM 01. Okay, and here if you see now if you look, its deployment is succeed, right? And if you refresh this page, so provisioning is succeeded, right? So now you have understand like how you can like if you have some software or some package which is not actually provided by vendor or for which you don't have marketplace agent, you can install those packages or software as well through the custom script. So what you have to do, you have to put those packages on somewhere on repository which will be accessible from these VMs, right? And then you have to write the script accordingly, where it will call to that URL and it will install those packages, something like unattended installations of your applications, right? Or if a marketplace portal, if agent for that particular services is already provided by marketplace portal, then you can select that agents and supply related informations, input all those parameters, and you can push it from here. Okay. Yeah, so now it's succeeded, and I have a web page running on this virtual machines. I have a 2 data disk. So now this virtual machines is ready for the productions, right? What means like I have applications installed on this virtual machines. I have a data disk added, all those things. Now what I can do, I can create image of these virtual machines and I can publish that image for my organizations as a private image where I can give the permissions, or if it is going to be a general purpose, I can publish that as a public image. So what are the image you are using when you are creating a virtual machines? Take example, if you select new virtual machines here, all the image are the public image here, or even the or you can have your private image here. So I will see that image will be listing here once I will create my image, but for now I'm selecting all as a public image, right? So let's move and create my own image. Okay, so for what, before creating your image, what you have to do, like you have to generalize your VMs. What that means. So take example, every servers have their own security ID. You have your own personal accounts. You have a security ID for your personal accounts and all those things, right? And if you don't generalize that VM for the image, then what will happen, it will copy those security IDs information or security informations everywhere with image. And in that case, if you will try to join that virtual machines to the same identity providers like a Active Directory, it will tell you you are coming with a duplicate machines, like you have a security providers already registered, I mean security ID is already registered for this machines with us. And for that purpose, you have to generalize your virtual machines, right, before creating an image. The other important information is like when you are generalizing a virtual machines, that means you are not going to use that virtual machines after that. You are going to create a new virtual machines from that generalized virtual machine. So it is a recommended, you should never take or bring a generalized virtual machines as it in back or switch on, right? If you want to like keep the copy of these virtual machines and still you want to generalize, then you can clone this virtual machine. So you can duplicate these virtual machines and then you can do that. For now, I'm going to generalize these virtual machines, and after generalizing, I will shut down this virtual machine. So for that, Microsoft provide a tool called sysprep, and that tools all already like preloaded in every every servers, newer servers at least, and it's located under Windows. And then you have a something called System32, I believe. And here you will find something called sysprep, right? Under that, you have a exe called sysprep exe. So what you have to do, you just run this sysprep exe as an administrator, and it will ask you what you want to do. So enter the system out of box experience, right? And then you say the generalize mode. So I want to generalize these virtual machines as it was when it is loaded. I mean, prepare it for the image creations. And after generalizing, what actions you want to do, I want to shut down these virtual machines. So go ahead and do it. Let me, yeah. And now you can see this virtual machines is getting generalized, and it will just take a couple of minutes, and then this virtual machines will get automatically shut down. Okay, so it's taking a little bit time because it is a removing all the security identifiers and your personal account identifiers, those things, it is making it as a common, so it can be used as an image. As soon as it will be completed, it will automatically go for the shutdown. You don't have to do anything because we have selected options called shutdown here. Okay, so you can see these virtual machines have connections error because the generalized options has been completed successfully and virtual machines has been switched, shut down now. So close it, come back, go back to the portal and look for the status of that virtual machine. So it's still saying running. Just wait for the couple of minutes to get it stopped. So now your virtual machine is stopped, right? Now we have options to create a image from this stopped virtual machines. So I have to click on this, and the virtual Microsoft give a options, inbuilt options to create an image. You can use capture or you can use your PowerShell commands as well. So I just click on capture and it's asking me what is a name you want to give for this image, which will be reflect in your private marketplace portal, right? Under private section. So I'm giving some name, and it's by default it's taking like Azure VM image and the date and time of today's, right? Then it's asking me which resource group you want to store this image, okay? And also it's asking where you want to use, where you want to delete these virtual machines after image creation. So as I told, you should not be powering on the virtual machines post image once you have created an image from that virtual machines or once you have generalized that virtual machine. So better to select that options delete. So what will happen once image is created, these virtual machines will automatically get deleted. Then it's asking whether you want to use this image to create a VMs in different zones, right? If you click here, it's like snapshots can be used in any ability zones, right? If you have off, then it will be used in only in the region or zones where this virtual machines was. So I'm saying on. And then since I'm going to delete these virtual machines as a part of image creations, it is asking me to put the virtual machine's name for the confirmations, right? So I'm going to give the virtual machine's name here. Okay. And now just hit enter create. So you can see it's again tried to stop these virtual machines, and it's doing some pre-checks, and then it will start image creations for that particular virtual machine. So you can go back to the virtual machine sections here. And now you can see that virtual machines was in stop status. Now it is getting deallocated. That means it's getting deleted. Okay. And if you look for the image, still it's not created. So once it is created, you will see the image will be available here. Okay. So just wait for the task to be completed. So now you see it's moved to the second phase where it's saying like creating image, right? So that virtual machines is already stopped, deallocated, and now it's moved to the phase where it's creating the image. So if you go to resource group and let's see deployments. Yeah, sometimes it take time to reflect here. Okay. So look for the, okay, I don't have any notifications now. And if I go here, the status is unknown. That means that virtual machine is already deleted. If I go to image, so virtual machines image are available here, right? Now, if you click on this image and look for that, it have the if had the OS disk, it have a data disk, right, which you have already configured for your virtual machines, the original virtual machines, and also it have the zone resiliencies. So it is a zone resiliency is enabled, so you can deploy virtual machines from this image in any zones within the regions, right? And let's create the virtual machines from this. So what you can do, you can go on again new virtual machines. Okay, and you can fill these forms same as your new virtual machines, how you will fill. And I say like enter the new name, this one. And I'm not going to select any ability options right now. And then I'm going to select my image, right? So if I click on the browse all public and private image, so these are the public image which is made available by the Microsofts or maybe different service providers. If I say my items, it will show the image which I have created, right? And here you see the image. So I will select that particular image, and then rest everything will go as a normal, like you have to provide the size of your virtual machines, what size you want, how much CPU memory you want, what is a username you want to use when you are connecting these virtual machines, right? So I'm giving the some names. Okay, and I'm skipping the rest of the sorry, license type. Yeah, so I want a Windows Server license type here, and I'm skipping the rest of options here because the focus to demonstrate how you can use the image and create a virtual machines using image. So I'm putting this diagnostic as a off, next, review and create. Okay, so deployment is again started, and you can watch here like deployment is in progress. If you click here, it will follow the same path, like it is creating the NSG IP, then it is creating the network interface, and then it will create a compute resource and all those things. So just wait for the couple of minutes. Yeah, so network interface is created. Now it's started creating of your virtual computes. Yeah. So the use case of your like no image, as I told, your administrator, like take example, you have a similar applications running on multiple servers, or you want to deploy multiple servers with the same application, same configurations, right? You have other way to do also, like you have a desired state configurations, or you can write a JSON template or ARM template, and you can use that as well. But you must hear about like in our data center environment, we were used to create a golden image, right? That golden image what was like we have already pre-configured everything in that, and we were keeping that ISO, and whenever we have to deploy a same kind of servers, individual or standalone servers, we are using that golden image to push the configurations or create that server. So you can compare those things similar here on Azure. Like you have a build of VMs, you have configured all your applications and everything, and now you are using that image to deploy your deploy your VMs, right? Or this is the same way how other service provider like Microsoft's create an image and they publish, but they publish it for the general purpose and they make it available as a public. Okay, so it's taking a little bit longer. Just wait for the few minutes. Yeah, go to deployment. It's still deploying, you can notice here, and just wait. So once this virtual machines will deploy, you can log into these virtual machines in the same way how you are logging to the any virtual machines which you have created from the public marketplace image. And you can only difference what you will find here, like you have already your yeah, so this virtual machine is already deployed. So you will have already your data risk available, which I have added additionally on the VMs, which I had created from the marketplace portals, right? And also I have created some files and folders on the data disk, and I'm expecting that to be available here. Okay. So now I'm going to VM, and looking for a list of the VMs. So here the AG VM03 is also created now, and you can see the source here, right? So but first virtual machine, which is AG VM02, it's sourced from the marketplace. That means it is a source from the public marketplace image. But the other virtual machines, which is AGVM03, is a source from the image. That means the image was either created by myself as a privately, or it has been created by my team and shared with me, right? So now I'm going to connect these virtual machines. Again, for connecting, you have the same options as your public marketplace image created virtual machines. There's no difference. You can use the Western host, you can use the RDP or anything. So let me try to using the RDP here. Okay, download the RDP and try to open that. Okay, so this is connecting here, and let me bring it's opening on the another screen. So let me bring it, and here you see like I have to supply my username and say connect. Okay, so this virtual machine is getting connected now. Yeah, he's connecting on the another screen. Let me. Yeah, so you can see like the username password which I have configured during the deployment or provisioning. That username passwords are getting used to logging in these virtual machines. And once I will connect to this virtual machines, let's wait. Yeah, so this virtual machines is also up. And if I browse, it's little when first time you log into any of the server, right, it's take little time to get the profiles loaded, hive loaded, right? So it's taking some times. Now if I go to File Explorer and look for this PC, so I have a volume already exist here, right? And I have my files and folders available here, right? So this is what how you can use image, and you can build a VM from that image. Let server manager get loaded, and I will see if IIS is also installed there already or not. So yeah, it's getting time, like taking time to refresh. It's still scanning the things. Yeah, so you see like here, if you look, this IIS is already installed here, right? And that means the applications what I had configured is already when I've created an image, it's already captured those, and when I created a VM from that image, that applications is also came along with that. Okay, so yeah, that is what how you can use the image and what is the use of the image. Moving to our next lab, which is like take example of we have Bipin has talked about like horizontal scaling or vertical scaling, right? So vertical scaling is like something, if you see these virtual machines, right? This virtual machine size is D2S V3, and which means these virtual machines have 2 CPU and 8 GB memory. But I want to change this. I want to like do the scale up of these virtual machines, and that means I'm going to scale up the same virtual machines with more configurations, more power of the CPU and RAM. So for that, what you have to do, you have to go to size. Sorry, let me look. Yeah, you have to go to size on the virtual machines properties, and then you have to select a size according to your new requirement. And here, if you say the see all size, it will list all size which is available for that virtual machines or available for that regions, right? So I'm going to select a new size here, which is yeah, I'm just sorting out by CPU. And okay. Sorry. Yeah, let's. I'm sizing by this A8M V2. It is going to cost too much because it have a or let's size it by A8 V2, which have the 8 CPU and 16 GB memory, right? So I'm resizing the size, and you just have to click resize. So it is saying like fail to resize the virtual machine size standard AV2. So again, there is just some limitations. You cannot resize from you have to look for the which resize is allowed from the which size. So if this is already a standard in one size, maybe there is not allowed to go on the another size. So you have to select the compatible size, and I'm selecting the another one. Does not support the storage accounts premium. So here you see like this size doesn't support the storage accounts premium. So you have to look for the size which supports the premium storage. And here you see this particular size, the below to that, which is saying supported. So let me select that particular, and it have also 8 GB CPU, a CPU, and 32 GB RAM, and it support the premium storage here if you see. Okay, so let me select that particular size and then do the resize. So you have to look when you are resizing your virtual machines, you have to look whether the size which you are choosing is compatible or not. Okay. So what will happen during the resize? Actually, these virtual machines, again, this is some internal executions error, maybe something related to resource. It's temporary error kind of things. You can shut down these virtual machines, and then you can try to do the same things. It's possible to do. Okay. So let me do that as well. Okay, let me connect these virtual machines. Okay. I'm just shutting down these virtual machines. Okay. Sometimes some internal error could be also there, which will stop you to do the resizing, and for that you can log a case with Microsoft. You can wait for this sometimes, and if issue is not resolved, or then you may log to case with Microsoft. But for that you should have the support like subscriptions. You should have the got the supports, and then you can come here and help and supports, use these options to log a case with for that particular things. Okay, so these are still running. Sometimes browser also gives error like in this kind of thing. So you have to give it a try, maybe after some times, and looks if it's allowing you not, then you may log a case. But let me see if I can. Let me try again. So I'm going with supported, and then I'm going to select the same family general purpose. So here you see the another one. It is supported, and let's try. So always instead of hitting the on power on virtual machines, you should shut down your virtual machine. So you should not have any application impact or anything, and then you can try. You should try in your production environment or in your So resize of virtual machines successfully resized. Okay. Now if you go on these virtual machines and look for the size of these virtual machines, this family is changed to different family, right? Here you see this is different family and it's got the different CPU and memory. Okay, so this is how you can do the vertical scale like a scale up kind of things, right? Now I'm going to create a virtual machines in scale sets, right, where you will see how you can do the horizontal kind of things. Like I have a VMs running, I have applications running, but that applications is getting the performance issue, like its a CPU utilization is high or memory utilization is high, and using that matrix it is going to give you, or it is going to scale out. That means it is going to do the horizontal. It is going to create a similar virtual machines, part of the same load balancers and running with the same configurations. Okay, so for that we need to create a scale sets, and a scale sets is like a group of virtual machines which you create for the same purpose or identical use. So I came to the I just look for the virtual machines scale sets options, and then you will just say create virtual machines scale sets, right? Then you have to select the your resource group where you want to create, and then give the some name of your virtual machines scale sets, right? So 0, 1, and which region you want to create your virtual machine skill set. Now I told you in beginning, like, no, when I'm going to create a skill sets, I will be using a multiple availability zones. Either you can create in one availability zones, or I can create a multiple availability zones. So in this region, I have 3 availability zones available. So be remember, like, availability zones give you the protections against data center failure, where the availability sets gives you protections within the data centers, like rackage failure or power supplies, those kind of things. Is like within the data centers, it will give you the protections, right? So I'm selecting a multiple availability zones, and I'm selecting a operating systems, again using our public marketplace, which is the Ubuntu. And this is the size of my virtual machines, right? Here I'm going to use SSH key. Instead of using the username password, I can use for Linux virtual machines a key, right? So and this is going to work in similar way, like how your username and password is works, where you have a username as a public key and password as a private key. Here also we are going to have a public key and private key. So what is like when you will create a SSH combinations or key using any SSH keygen tools, or using the inbuilt Open SSL keygen tool, it will create a 2 key. It will again create a private key and public key. So you are going to put your public key on the server, and private key you are going to keep with you, which you will use when you are connecting your virtual machines. Okay, moving to the disk. Yeah, just a minute. Yeah, so here you can go and select your disk type, and I have already explained this all options while we are creating the single virtual machines, right? So it is going to be same, nothing change. Then under networking, you are going to select which network you are going to create your virtual machines, and which subnet you are going to create your virtual machines for the skill sets. So I'm using this particular subnets, and what I'm going to do some advanced configurations on this subnets. Like I'm going to allow some a specific port, or I'm going to configure a public IP for this. So let's click on advanced. So if you see the difference, like in basic, it is by default one port, or some ports which is listed here is already allowed. If you click here, here you will select. So some ports are already allowed. You can choose these ports from in basic, but if in advanced, you have options to manually add those ports. So if you create new, these options will come, and I'm going to allow port 80 because I'm going to install some applications on this. Okay, and then priority, and I'm going to give some meaningful name for this. Okay, and say okay, and then I'm also going to enable a public IP. Okay, then we have options like use load balancers, right? In the first sessions when I was creating a virtual machines for our availability sets, I have not selected that options. Here I'm going to select a load balancer. So what will happen, like a load balancers will be created automatically, or your virtual machines will be added in that load balancers, right? Now I'm now moving to the next, putting a scale in. Okay, so under a scaling options, you are going to define a rule, like how many instances should be there when this scale sets come up, like initial count. So right, so I'm saying I should have 2 virtual machines. Then there is a options called like a scaling policy. So how you want to scale up, scale out or scale in. Do you want to do it manual, or you want to do a custom? So if you select a custom, then you have to again provide some specific informations, like how many, what should be your minimum virtual machines count for that, what should be the maximum virtual machines count when you do the scale in or a scale out or a scale in, right? And then on what threshold this should be, right? So I'm choosing the manual options for now, and I will show you how you can change these policies on the existing scale sets, right? And then we have a call options called a scale in policy. This talks about like when you are doing the scale in, that means your performance is down now normal, and you have to remove some virtual machines from your scale sets. How it is going to be, which virtual machines is actually going to be deleted or removed, and this will depend on these 3 settings. So whether it is going to delete a VMs with highest instance ID, or it is going to delete a virtual machines which is created newly created or oldest created, like that. Okay, go to management. Yeah, again here some more options which you need to configure when you are creating a scale sets, like upgrade policy. Take example, you have created a scale sets, right? And for example, now in your scale sets you have 2 virtual machines, and you want to deploy some applications, take example through the extensions, right? So how that, when you push that extensions to your scale sets, how that like extensions, a script or application is going to install on your scale sets VMs. Like you want to do manual upgrade by selecting one VM over others, or you want to do automatic updates immediately as soon as you release that, right? Or you want to do some rolling over, like update will be rolled out in batch based on the automatically selected by the Azures, right? So I'm saying here is a manual. Okay. Then we have a monitoring, right? So as a monitoring, you can have a boot diagnostics options, right? So if you select the boot diagnostic options on, you are going to create a storage accounts where this boot diagnostic will be stored, right? For now, I am just putting as a off. Okay. Then we have identity options, as I explained. Like this is some things if you want to enable communications between 2 services within the Azure using the roles instead of going through the credentials like username and passwords, right? OS upgrades. So if you are doing some kind of patchings or some type of upgrade on operating system levels, how it is going to be rolled out, right? It is going to be happen automatic, or you are going to do it manually. And then the instance termination. So when instance will be terminated, how you are going to get notified. If you say on, then it will be like send you a notifications and terminations delay in 7 minutes. Like before that, it will send you a notifications, right? So I'm putting this all as off. Then we have some health options. Here you can, it is very much similar to the like how you enabling the probe on the your load balancers, right? So it is going to send a packets on that particular ports on your virtual machines, and it is going to monitor whether that instance is up or down. And if it is not going to receive that packet back or acknowledgement of that packet, it is going to put that host that instance as a inactive, right? So I'm disabling this for this demo. We will look about this in our networking sessions when we will be talking about the load balancers. Okay. Then we have some advanced options. Okay, here are also some interesting options are available. Like you have a scaling beyond 100 instance. By default, it is a yes. But suppose you want to have deployment in single placement group and you want to deploy within the 100 numbers of instance, then you can select as a no. Then what will happen, like limited to the one placement group and can have maximum of 100. So I'm just for demo I'm putting is a yes. Then we have a force strictly evenly balance across zones. So this policies talks about, like I have selected 3 different availability zones, right? And if instance is not created in balance for the all the availability zones, like 111 in every availability zone, it is not going to work. It is not going to provision, it is not going to create your skill sets, right? So I'm saying no, you should not have restricted that. Even it is not available in all availability zones in even balance, you can create it and you can use it. So I'm saying no. Then spreading algorithms, this is talking about the fault domain actually. So in spreading algorithms, like if you say the max spreading, right, then what will happen, whatever the maximum numbers of fault domains available in that region, it will use it. But if you see the fixed one, then it will take the up to 5. Okay. Then we have some custom data in cloud inet, right? This is also very much similar to the your extensions, but difference is like, no, whatever the scripts or whatever the instructions you are passing to the custom data, uh, your VMs or your resource manager deployments take that inputs and use it while your VM is being provisioned. Okay, where the custom extensions you do post deployments. Okay, so I'm going to give some scripts here. I'm going to put the scripts which will install the something like on Linux or Ubuntu as Nginx. And yeah, and you see, like I have just given some script which I've already prepared in advance. And then we have a same options like placement group or dedicated host kind of things, right? And then what version of VM you are going to create, whether you want a Gen 1 or Gen 2. So difference is, the basic difference is like UEFI based BIOS, right? Now go to next. And we have to give some tags for the identifications of these applications, environment, and all those things, and then review and create. So my validations is again passed here. And if I say create, this deployment is going, it is going to take a little bit time because it is going to create 2 different virtual machines, and then it is going to create a load balancers, all those things, right? So just watch for the deployment here. And once deployment is completed, then I will just walk through you like how you can create a rules. So here you see like a lot of resources already created here. So it's created a public IP. It's created a used a VNets, and then it's created a public IP. It's created the NSG rules and load balancers. Unfortunately, it's failed, and the failed is like requested number of public is 4 VMs in a skill set. Okay, sorry. So I have selected a 4 VM, and by default, the public IP address for the any new subscriptions is allowed only 10. Sorry for that. Yeah. So let me change it and create a new skill sets. Okay, let me give that some different name, and let me select the ability zones again. Okay, and I'm saying this is 1.2, you're fine. Then SSH key. Let me give the public IP. Okay, next. And then I'm not going to change anything here. I've already explained this also. I'm just passing it fast. So let me select this virtual network, and then let me create, configure some ports, add inbound rules, and let's add the port. Add, and yes, so I say okay. Then enable the public IP and place okay, and then use the load balancers. So initial count is 2. That's let me delete this because 1 minute. Let me delete the sum of the virtual machines which is already created. It will release the or IP or public IP address. Oh, there's a lot, so that is the reason it's failing. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to deassociate some of the IP and delete it. Okay. Okay. Okay, delete. So this is a soft limit actually. You can move. You can have this limits. You can raise a case with Microsoft and they will increase your limits, right? So right now I don't have time to do that, so I'm just going to delete this all manually. Okay, let's delete this also. Okay, some of the IPs are deleted. Okay, now we have a 3 IPs only, and yeah, let's try. So 2 and then manual. This I've already explained it, and going to be off. Next, advanced, and I'm going to give the INET data here back. Okay, and next tags and review creates. Okay, so compute creations is just started. Just wait for the few more minutes. Just refresh it and go to VM and virtual machines scale sets. You can see your virtual machines scale sets is coming up, and okay, somewhere I made a mistake. It's taking the 4. Anyway, leave it. It's creating the 4 virtual machines. That is what we have to do, the initial counts and configurations during the deployments, right? So in hurry, I've selected 4. Yeah. Okay, deployment is succeeded here, and let me see the deployment which is going on, the properties of that deployment. Should be 2 only. Okay. Yeah, so it is 2 only, but it seems starting with deployment, it's selecting the 4, but it's adjusting as per the whatever the request I've given. So here you can see 2 virtual machines is now running as part of this scale sets, right? Yeah, and this scale sets are part of the 3 different zones. Okay, and this is the IP of this scale sets. If you take this IP and put in the browser, it's okay. Let me see the networking. I have allowed the ports, right? Yeah, port 80 is allowed. So just wait for the few minutes. It will give you the, it will get succeeded, and it will have the web page running some there. Okay. So here is also, and same times, since I had selected a load balancer, so it will create a load balancers also. If you go to load balancers, this is a LV2 load balancers, and you will have the load balancers IP, and you can, it is going to be same IP as your skill sets public IP, right? And if we say enter, see the web page is up. So this is a custom page I have given here, and now I'm connected to the one of the skill set server here. So if you go back to the your skill sets and look for the instance here, and if you look for the instance and go here, and you will see this is the zone 1 connected, right? So now let's connect to these two virtual machines and do some simulations on scaling. So here you click on scaling, and I'm going to define a custom auto scale rules here and add a rules, right? So when you click on the custom add rules, it will ask you on what basis you are going to scale up, or sorry, scale out. So I'm selecting as a time aggregation as a maximum, and then percentage CPU. Okay, and then it will ask you greater than, like, what is the CPU threshold you are going to give. So I'm saying like 50%, and what is a time aggregations time it is going. So I'm saying for the 1 minute. Okay, and again I'm selecting a maximum, so it is going to take a data of 1 minute sample data, and based on that it is going to do the scale out and how many instances it is going to add. So add 1 instance, say add, and click save. Right, and let's connect the let's generate some sample load on that virtual machines. Okay, so I have already put the open here, and let me connect to both the virtual machines manually instance. And you can either use the public IP of these virtual machines, or you can use the load balancers inbound rules. So I am going to use the load balancers inbound rules, net inbounds, and here you see this is the IP, and this is a port I'm going to hit. Okay, so okay. It is taking little. Okay, sorry, I think I have given wrong IP. 1 minute. Yeah, 5 is missing there. Okay. Load instance and give that IP. Yeah, it's connected. Let me put it here. AJ admin. Yeah, so this virtual machine is connected. Let me connect the another virtual machines as well, and the this is the another one, and give me IP there and open. And here also, let's say AJ admin, right? And now I have connected with public key here, a private key and public key. And if you run the top command here, you see the CPU utilization is 7.9 here, right? So Control C, and here also, if you run the top command, you will see the CPU utilization is similar, right? So I'm going to run some loop here, which will actually generate the load on these virtual machines. Okay. So yeah, I have created a 2 process here, and if you now see on this top command, you will see the CPU utilizations will increase in few minutes. Here you see like CPU utilizations is going to 99% now. Okay, sorry. Here also, if you look the top command, CPU utilizations will increase in minutes. Yeah, so it is going to 99, right? Now, if you go back to your scale sets and wait for the 1 minute, you will see a new provisioning will start. Okay, so just wait for the few seconds here. It will wait, and because still it's detecting only 13% CPU utilizations average. So as soon as it will detect the utilizations, it will start provisioning an instance here. Okay. So meantime, if you have any questions, Ashish, we can have it. Or okay, sorry, there should be have three.
Yeah, we have some questions. So probably we will open. I think Vipin is already answering those questions now. So are you done for your demo? I
Yeah,
think we are.
it is going to just wait for a minute because it will detect the performance, and based on that, it will increase the instance. So I'm just waiting for that to be executed. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we are already about to, hit the time.
Mm-hmm.
So probably, we have tried to answer all the questions in the Q&A section. If at all we are not able to answer, then probably it will be good to, join our Telegram group and ask your questions there. Probably right now, because we are in session right now, we might not be able to answer right now, but yeah, we will try to answer it as soon as we will join there, or fellow members will try to answer, because there are so many people over there. And yeah, let's wait for this demo to finish. uh, and then Neeraj, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so yeah, probably once Ram is done, we can go ahead and conclude the session, so you may
Sure,
take it over and then conclude it.
sure.
And yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, this
So
is
here,
the,
yeah.
Ram,
Sorry to
just, yeah,
interrupt,
please go.
Ashish. Yeah. So it's you see like it's detected the performance matrix, which is I have defined as CPU utilizations over 50%, and if you go on here and you can see it's hitting it. This is average value. So if you change, and again, these reflections will take little time, but here you see like if I change the aggregation as a maximum, it's hitting the about 100%, right? And as soon as skill sets has detected that utilizations, it has started creating the instance. Again, it will create a two instance, but finally it will put in one instance as a, because I have configured in our policy as a instance increase by the one. Okay, so it will change that, and maximum instance will have three instance, and it's all from their configuration. So here you see like it will, yeah. So now you see like only one instance is remain, and that will get added in your load balancers. Okay, so that's all for I have. Yeah, thank you all. Back to Ashish. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So before I give the control to Neeraj, I just want to reiterate again that this is. I mean, today is third session of this track. We are, conducting the complete track, and then it includes all the 8 sessions, and every session will have different topic. So probably if you are planning your examination, then I will recommend you joining all the sessions that we will be having every Sunday for this track. And we are hoping to, we are planning to actually launch the DevOps and Architect stack, and we will soon, post the details in our Telegram group, and as well as we will try to post it in other social media networks as well. So please go ahead and connect us. And yeah, Neeraj, can you please, conclude
Sure.
the session?
So, I mean, this was really a great session, and thank you, Vipin and Ram, for giving us the sessions. It was really wonderful, and I hope all the audience also found it useful. So next thing, what we are going to do is we will go ahead and upload the recording in our YouTube channel. So please keep your watch if you missed some of the portions, some of the sections. So you can always refer to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/AzureTalk. And plus, we will also update all those details on our website, which is AzureEasyEasyY.com. So you can also go there and refer all those details. So with this, I think we are already on the top of the hour, so we have a couple of more minutes. So I want to take a moment to thank you, all the audience who participated in our session today, and you were very active, asked a lot of questions, and I'm sure you had many more questions which we couldn't answer today. So as Ashish said, please go ahead, join our Azure Talk Telegram group and post your questions there. So we will have people answering questions We have other team members, we have other community members, knowledgeable people who will answer your questions out there. I would highly encourage you to join our Azure Talk Telegram group, which is t.me/Azure Talk. Now, with this, I'd like to, extend a special thanks to Vipin and Ram and all Azure Talk core team member. It couldn't have been possible without them, and it's a community effort. So I really want to thank Vipin and Ram for taking the lead and delivering this session. And we will have continuing this session. So like, AZ104. So next Sunday, same time, you will have our fourth session. So please do join our sessions. And if you have not already registered for those sessions, you can go to our website, azureeasy.com. And from there, you can register for those sessions so that you get those invites. So, yep. With that, I want to thank everyone. And one last moment, thank you for joining our session today. And we look forward to talking to you again in our next session. That is next Sunday, 7 p.m. IST, which is 9:30 a.m. EST, Eastern Daylight Savings Time. So, thank you, everyone. Have a good one. Have a great week. Thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
yeah, and just to close the session, I have posted some self-paced, modules link, direct modules link related to this today's agenda. So if you want to do some hands-on, you guys can go ahead and open it, and you can do it on your own. And the good part is that Microsoft gives you a free sandbox environment of Azure, so you don't need an Azure subscription. So yeah, and then we will be posting all the details in a recording link as well. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thank you, Neeraj. Thank you, Ram. Thank you, Vipin. And thanks everyone for joining the session. Looking forward to join the next session next Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you.